Cox. We're going to kick off this section with the Daily Mail. Lewis, is Shamima Begum's PR backfiring?
No. Maybe
it is.
I've got to say, okay, you want the answer? Yes. Okay. The answer is, The answer is yes. The Daily Mail. Sorry.
What's happening, Lewis, in this story?
What's happening in the story is that she's been all over the place making a making publicity tour.
Yes.
She's been on the BBC. She's been even on that crazy TV channel GB News.
She has.
She's
been everywhere.
And she's been asking for people to say, I don't know if she says she's sorry, but she's saying she wants to be let back.
And they've said no.
And they've said no. And you know what? I can understand why they're saying no. In America, even in the United States of America, they strip people of their citizenship.
Right, but the issue here is that she was 15, of course, when she went to Syria to join ISIS. And people will say, well, that means that she was trafficked. Her case is that she was a victim of child trafficking. There's an awkwardness here, though, isn't there, Paul? Because the age of criminal responsibility is 10. So where do you stand on this?
Well, I'll tell you, I was quite surprised, actually, because I thought today something might rule in her favour. That wouldn't have been the end of it, by the way. Had it ruled in her favour today, there'd have still been quite some space to go. I often try and think, what was I like at 15? Put myself in her position. I chose Oasis over Blur when I was 15.
Yes.
I didn't. She chose terrorism, and I think that's a big deal. We've seen just on this channel, just before our show tonight, the daughter of someone who was beheaded by ISIS.
Yes.
And there is a very serious nature to this, and we can't set a precedent, I guess, because if you do, the gates open, and there are hundreds of people stood behind her.
So it's difficult, isn't it? Because we all know what it's like to be 15 years old. You're not without moral agency. You do know not to join a death cult that beheads people and causes all sorts of terror. So I don't think she can be absolved in that regard. The argument is that she was radicalised, I suppose. But I think it's tricky. The other issue, of course, is surely she is our responsibility. I mean, she's from here, she's British. So, the idea that that she doesn't have a British citizenship anymore, she's not our problem. Aren't we just washing our hands of our problem?
Well, I was thinking of that. I was thinking, she should be brought back into the country and she should be put on trial. If it is bad enough, right, like what you're saying, if it is bad enough for her to be kicked out of the country, then it's good enough for her to be brought back and put in jail for quite a while.
It's interesting that her defence, they seem genuinely surprised by this decision.
Yeah, they did,
and I suppose one of the things that's interesting about this article, though, it points out that part of the judgment is, a lot of the people involved have been quite shocked at her media appearances. They say it's very self-serving. I don't think it's served her well, has it?
No, it hasn't done. And because what you've never really seen is the real her. You've seen different versions of her all along. At first she looked, dare I say it, very ethnic, as if she was part of that community and not British. She now looks very British, and she's not really feeling so sorry for herself anymore. She's saying to other people, I am a victim here. And I think there's some truth in that.
Well, she's had a makeover, hasn't she?
She certainly has. I mean, she looks like a teenager now she's not, is she? How old is she?
23 years old.
She's 23. I mean, when she
came
back, she was wearing the full veil, and she didn't seem very sorry about the bomber in Manchester. She thought, it was very odd. She talked about decapitated heads anyway, she's getting it all wrong. Anyway, we're going to move on now to Thursday's